Svengali, Brighton Rock, the Florida Razors, Junk House, Crowbar, the Teenage Head, Tom Wilson, Jack the Kaiser, Monster Truck, the Arkells, all staples of Hamilton rock and roll, all a member of that taste and that flavor that is Hamilton rock. With me, my guest today on Rock and Vodka presents a chat with Tommygunn. Tommy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Sam. I'm good. Really well. Thank you.
Now, I mentioned all those other bands because, as you know, we're both Hamilton boys. We know how good they are. So to be in that group has to say something about your talents. And you
Yeah.
don't come about this without some lineage and some background. And you've got some pretty heavy hitters in your background. Kelly J, Tom Wilson, just to name a couple. And of course, one of the greatest, Sonny Del Rio, as well. All had a big part in molding you to what you are today. Now,
Yeah.
in doing the research for this interview, I looked back at some of the other interviews you've done and some of the things that other people have said about you. And they said that your rock and roll is different. How would you say it's different?
Well, I think it's different because my rock and roll is the music I write and co-write, because I'm a big fan of collaboration, um, is uh, is based on my experiences. So my experiences are mine and nobody else's. So therefore, I guess that makes me different. And you know, every album I've made three now. I'm about to release my third. Um, is different. Everyone's different, and I think it has to do with the fact that the people I collaborate with and stuff that um, shapes it the way it makes it different. And the songwriting, my songwriting is different because it's based on my experiences, like I said. So every experience is different. So.
And with that, you like you said, you like to collaborate, but it's still your soul that comes out on your music. And that's the thing that I love about your music, especially the unofficial theme song, Hounds of Hamilton, that is basically my go-to song when I'm thinking about Hamilton, when I'm thinking about the things that go on here, the rock and roll that's here. Uh, I mentioned just some of the bands that are from here, and your songs are not just songs about you, but there are songs about your home. Like there's one song that a lot of listeners may not understand, but being from Hamilton, we understand. And that's the one that is basically in and around Evelyn Dick
Right.
and the Torso murders. We won't go into the details of that because that's a tragedy, but that was one type of style that you showed a darker side, but you also have a lighter side. You have a side that's proud. You have so many different sides to you. When you come up with an album, do you like to put as much of you on the album as you can, or do you like to save some things for other projects?
Oh no, I don't think I intentionally uh do it like that. I just feel like yes, it is me who comes out. It's my songwriting, or my collaboration with someone, but it's always my idea and we bounce ideas and then it turns in forms and evolves into a song, but it's based on my ideas always, even in the collaborations because like it's my thing. That's what it's all about, and yeah, so I pour it all in. I give it my all for every song. They're my like my my pride, like you said, like every one of them. And it's all about my experiences and my experiences have changed every album they've changed, so their album is different. And it's like, that's because I'm different as a human being. I've evolved and changed as a human being. I'm not the same person I was when I wrote the first album. You know what I mean? But so that's it, man. That's it.
Now, I'd like to talk about, and it seems like I harp on the song a lot, and I do even when we're not doing this. I harp
I
on
love
how that
that
Hamilton.
song.
I love that song too, and like one of the things I want to know is how did that song come about, and how did you get that lineup to get
Well,
involved with it for the video? And the people have got to see the video. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Well, all through my father, no question. It's all my dad's influences. They're all my dad's friends, who became my friends. Kelly J, Tom Wilson, my dad's in it. And you know, it became because like as I grew up, like my dad, it's all my dad's and his friends' influences on me, like that guy's a hound dog or whatever, right? You know what I mean? Like that's how my the first album, because my dad produced it with Georgie Fab, basically. And so it's a Hamilton album. And I was so fortunate to have Mark Gemmell, who's an amazing guitar player, killed it. But on that particular track, Hounds of Hamilton, that was Georgie Fab on guitar, Jack Pedler on drums, Neil Nikifor on bass, or pardon me, Mitch Mansfield on bass, and myself on vocals, of course.
And that is a great song because it not only is good rock and roll, and it is good rock and roll,
Thanks,
but
Bob.
it also gives people who don't know Hamilton a taste of Hamilton. You talk
Yeah,
about hutches,
yeah,
you talk about some of the experiences that we go through here in Hamilton, some of the fun things, the adventures that we all go through, that we've
sure.
all done. And you got, like I said, some of the top artists in Hamilton performing on the track. And there's a little bit of a movement, we'll call it, for anything, lack of anything else to call it, that is trying to get that song to be played at Tim Hortons Field for all the Tiger Cat home games. And I think that's a great idea. And I'm just wondering, how do you feel that people love the song so much that they're saying, hey, this has got to be our song?
I mean, like, I was told, by many people that this should be the theme song, you know what I mean, for the Tie Cats, because there's, footage of the Tie Cats in it, the crowd, and all this, the fans of Hamilton Tie Cats. And believe me, if you're from Hamilton, you're a Tie Cat fan. And like, I don't care, I live in Toronto now. And I'm still a Cat fan, and I'm always, I'll always be from Hamilton, you know what I mean, no matter where I am. And I'm very proud of that, you know.
And that's the thing that resonates with me is your pride with Hamilton. A lot of people, they're proud of Hamilton, but when they leave, they leave. You left, but you didn't leave.
No,
There's
and I've
still a
never
big piece of you here.
I
And that's the
never
thing I love about you and what you are and who you are and what you do, is that you keep that pride, and that pride comes out in your music because you don't make an album like I've heard of albums being made in a couple of weeks. You take your time, you make sure you've got it exactly how you want it, how you feel it needs to be. And then when that album comes out, that resonates with the listeners. Do you find that you have a real good vibe with the listener, that they really dig what you're doing?
um I'm hope so. That's my whole intent. And I feel that, if you listen to it, really listen to it, I think you'll really dig it. Every one of them, every album. And I'm not just saying that because, hey, so egotistical that everything else. But the thing is, I was raised in rock and roll with my father. who played with a band called, as far as I can remember, like Terra and I Experiment in the 70s with Georgie Fab and all his friends. And like they would sit around and do like with the steel beer cans, true shotguns and like shots of tequila, this kind of shit, you know what I mean? It's
Yep.
70s, right? And then like, you know, they all turned it, they were all so very creative and loving and stuff like that. Like it was amazing music. And then my dad went in and played Crowbar. He was friends with Teenage, had real close friends with Frankie and Gordon. Um, More Frankie than anybody. And like Crowbar and King Biscuit Boy. And he also played with Ray Materick for 10 years. When Ray was really rocking, like that signature album is probably, I think it's one of the greatest rock and roll albums in Canada. And the thing is that, the more people need to hear that stuff, you know what I mean? And to appreciate it, like, but whether they do or not, it's really tough nowadays because there's so many platforms and stuff. I don't know who's listening to what, right? But I just do it because I love to do it.
Yeah, and you come about it honestly. Other than your dad and Kelly J and the Hamilton influence, who inspired you to get into rock and roll other than them?
Well,
Like, do you have a go-to band?
on my mom's side as well of the family. I mean, like as far as personal family, my mom's side of the family too, because my grandfather played piano in the living room. He broke into Frank Sinatra or whatever, you know what I mean? He left his heart in San Francisco, that kind of thing. And his cousin was Rod Stewart. So that's my cousin, like second removed from my mom and me. And I've met Rod a couple of times, but yeah, so the Stewart side really had my mom's side had music too. My mom's father and my father and my uncle opened the Hillcrest restaurant up on the mountain, Upper Wentworth
Yeah, Upper Wentworth
concession.
and Concession.
Yeah, they opened it. The first band ever. There was them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's not even there anymore, the Hillcrest, but so they all influence me, as far as a go-to band, like a huge influence, like anyone else, all the regulars, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Priest, Maiden, there's some Tom Petty, like chorus, ELO, really influenced me. I can remember earliest the Bee Gees, Elton John, like all those influences, Paul McCartney and the Wings, you know what I mean? All those influences, like so. Yeah, my parents listen to great music, and that's what I listen to. So, I grew up in rock and roll, so I know good music and I know good musicians, and
That you do. And I was lucky, coming out in February, you've got a brand new album,
yeah,
California Way. It's coming out. I can't wait for it to come out. You privileged me with an early opportunity to listen to the album, and I loved it. We talked about it, and I told you that I loved it. Um, and I think that's an album that the fans are gonna love as well. If they're a rock and roll fan, not just a Tommygunn fan, but if they're a rock and roll fan, I think they're gonna love this album. What was the processing in going into making that album, and how long did it take?
yeah. There's a process, I had everything arranged, and then um, probably 6 months before I went down there, and I had, most of the album pretty much written. And so I went down there and met up with the person I had the arrangements with and realized that there's no possible way I can work with this guy. And I said to my wife, like, I don't know, man, we can't do this. I'm not going to do this. So let's look for a different studio. So we spent a month looking. We went to 20 different studios. I kid you not, 20 different studios till I found the right studio with the right guy. And and we made a great album, man. and I was very fortunate. He was such a sweet individual. His name's Michael Blue, Revolver Studios, pardon me, Revolver Recording Studios in Thousand Oaks. It used to be Westlake Studios, and there's like three studios there. It's like incredible. Elvis recorded there in the 50s and stuff. It's an amazing studio, and I was very fortunate. And we created magic.
You did, and you've got your first single coming out shortly, and your first video. Tell us a little bit about that song.
That song I wrote in Toronto in our apartment in our living room. It's called "Won't You Tell Me," and "Won't You Tell Me" is just again my experiences in life, and you know um, life sometimes it really throws some curveballs, and a lot of things happen in your life, and if you continue to just keep moving forward and evolving, you got to let the bad negative stuff stay behind and let it go, and try and stick with the most positive stuff you can and move forward and keep moving. That's what I've experienced, and that's what I do. And I think that's what that song's about. And I've gone from my life's really changed, man. Honestly, I've gone through so much in my life, and right now I'm in a good space, and I'm just moving forward with it. And I think that eventually you end up rising. If you just play your cards right and stick in the game long enough and come up with the best creative music you can. And, uh, and that's what
Yeah, I
I'm
totally,
trying to do.
I totally agree with that, and I think you are not at your peak yet, but you are really hitting your stride. You are really hitting your stride, and people when they get this album, it comes out in February. When they get this album and they give it a good listen, it's one of those albums I recommend you listen to from beginning to end. Don't just listen to a track or two. Sit yourself down, get yourself something to drink, get that special someone, sit down, put your feet up, and just enjoy some good rock and roll. It's a great album. Now, how could people get the album when it comes out?
Well, I'm releasing it digitally February 2nd on Good Tunes. They're out of California. It's called Good Tunes. That's the platform. And I'm exclusively releasing it with them. And so you just log in, and and then you can get my music. So it's not really difficult. So but what it is I wanted to try and release the album through somewhere where I can get, the best possible bang for my buck sort of thing. Because, creating music, this album I recorded in Los Angeles, and it's not cheap to make the album. It's not just one song, it's an album. And, there's a lot of cost to go with it. So, I'm if you release it on Spotify and iTunes, which I will eventually, but I mean, you get like 0.3, 3 cent, like
Yeah,
less than a cent per stream or whatever, right? So this dude's trying to Fernando Perdomo released an album on him with good tunes, and I'm gonna do the same. And the guy's really trying to build something that I think is better for the musicians, with other hard work and their costs and everything. So, I mean, like do you know that like to make minimum wage, I have to have 10 million streams? Like, are you
oh,
kidding
I
me?
know.
Like,
It's astronomical what you have to go through to do it. It's
yeah,
not like the old days where,
right.
you know,
But there is going to be hard copies available, CDs and albums when I tour, and I'm going to be doing that in the spring. I've made a huge call out for auditions for the band. I want to form it in Toronto and rehearse in Toronto, and then I'm going to tour.
yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because for those of us who follow you on Facebook, and I follow the Tommygunn page, there's been announcements for you looking for auditions. What are you looking for in the auditions? And obviously, you're gonna want people that are experienced, that sort of thing. You don't want anybody who's just learning. You want people that know what they're doing. And what are you looking for?
Well, first of all, I'm going to talk to them, obviously. I'm going to listen to them and, I'm been around music long enough to know what I want and what is works. And, as far as, there's all kinds of people in this world. You could be very talented, but you can't work with them. You know what I mean? Like I've had that in the past. You just can't work with them. And but they're extremely talented. But it doesn't work. And I don't want to be on the road somewhere and have, some sort of, you know,
Creative issue.
right. I don't want any issues, right? So like humans are humans. So I want nice, kind people to tour with who are talented. You know what I mean? And I think you just have to weed through it all, but it's like a process, right?
Yeah, and are you hoping to tour late this year, into going into the fall or into the summer?
I'm hoping to tour probably spring, summer. That's what I'm hoping to start. And I want to go right through to the fall. And the fall, I want to try and maybe do some US dates. So with the people I recorded with in Los Angeles.
That should be a cool time.
Yeah.
Like I said, the album is California Way, and it will be out February the 2nd digitally on Good Tunes. And I can't wait for people to have the opportunity to get themselves a copy of it. I can't wait to get my official copy of it. Like I said, you allowed me to listen to it, but other than that, I haven't got a copy yet, and I'm looking forward to buying my copy because I love Hamilton rock and roll. I love rock and roll. That's why I'm doing what I do. I had a chance to pick any genre I wanted, and I took rock
Good on
because
you, Sam.
that's
Good on
that's
you,
what
man.
I want to do. I don't know country music. I came up with blues, Jackie Washington, Harrison Kennedy, Bobby Washington and the Product, all that group. And so like I know what it's like to be around Hamilton, the Hamilton music scene, just like you do. But you got lucky. You got to be in rock and roll. That is so cool. And
Wow.
as much as I loved what I do, what I listened to, and I love it to this day, I'm kind of jealous. I didn't get a chance to sit and listen to Sonny Del Rio just jamming. I didn't get a chance to hear Kelly J doing his thing, and Ray Maddox and those guys. I would have given anything to just hear them enjoying what they do, enjoying the music. And I get to do that now because of you.
Wow, right on, man.
And I got to tell you, we always, when we talk on Messenger or whatever, we always end it the same way, rock and roll.
Yeah, man.
And I got to tell you, I'm not a hound of rock and roll, but I'm proud to be next to a hound of rock and roll. And with that, I want to thank you for taking some time for me today.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
again, one more time, the album is California Way. It comes out February the 2nd on Good Tunes. Be
Yes.
sure and check it out. Get the album. When will the video be released?
Well, I'm gonna release Won't You Tell Me February 2nd on YouTube. And then every 2 weeks I'm gonna release a video for 5 videos.
So I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell you to send me the message to remind me so I could tell the listeners.
Yeah, for sure, man. I
And you
mean,
know what? I'm going to play a classic tune from Tommygunn. I'm going
awesome.
to play Evelyn.
Wow. Look
And
out.
would you do me a favor? I would
For
like
sure.
you to introduce it.
Oh, this is Evelyn by Tommygunn and Sam Macbeth show. That Sam really rocks, brother.
Rock and roll. And we'll be back in just a little bit. We've got some more great stuff. Don't go away. And this is Evelyn.